You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your Security Plus certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Advanced access solutions refer to a collection of technologies and practices designed to deliver fine-grained, context-aware control over who and what can access organizational resources. Unlike traditional models that simply check a username and password, advanced approaches weigh multiple factors such as device security, location, user role, and risk level before granting permission. This ensures that access is precise, dynamic, and adaptable to shifting conditions. For example, an employee logging in from their office computer may be granted seamless access, while the same request from a new device overseas could require multi-factor authentication. These solutions embody a shift toward intelligent least privilege access models. Identity Federation and Single Sign-On (SSO) provide seamless ways to manage access across multiple systems and organizations. Identity Federation allows trust relationships between different domains so that credentials from one organization can be recognized by another. For example, a university student may use their campus login to access an external library's digital resources. Single sign-on, meanwhile, simplifies the user experience by enabling access to many services through a single authentication event. An employee may log in once and then move between HR, payroll, and email platforms without re-entering credentials. Together, Federation and SSO reduce password fatigue while maintaining centralized control. Adaptive and risk-based authentication elevates security by adjusting requirements based on context. Instead of treating every login attempt equally, the system evaluates risk signals such as device type, location, and behavior. A low-risk scenario, like a routine login from a corporate laptop at headquarters, might require only a password. A higher-risk attempt, such as a login from an unfamiliar device abroad, could prompt for multi-factor authentication or even block access. This adaptability balances usability with protection, ensuring security measures scale with the situation. It prevents overburdening users while applying stronger controls where threats are most likely. Attribute-based access control, ABAC, is a model that makes policy decisions using a combination of user attributes, resource characteristics, and environmental context. Instead of relying solely on roles, ABAC evaluates conditions such as department, clearance level, time of day, or device posture before granting access. For example, a doctor may access patient records only during working hours from a secure workstation, while access outside these conditions is denied. This flexibility allows highly customized rules, making ABAC well-suited for organizations with complex compliance requirements. By incorporating multiple dimensions, ABAC creates dynamic and precise access decisions. Privilege elevation techniques like just-in-time (JIT) and just-enough access (JEA) further refine control of high-risk accounts. JIT grants temporary privileges only when needed, expiring them after the task is complete. JEA limits access to only the specific actions required, even if the account has administrative capabilities. For example, an IT engineer troubleshooting a server may be granted admin rights for 2 hours under JIT, restricted by JEA to running diagnostic commands only. These methods reduce standing privileges, minimizing the time and scope attackers could exploit if an account were compromised. They embody the principle of reducing the attack surface by tightly controlling access windows. Privileged Access Management (PAM) systems take a broader approach by overseeing the use of high-risk accounts such as administrators, database owners, or root accounts. PAM solutions provide secure credential storage, session recording, and granular control over how privileged accounts are used. For example, PAM may require administrators to check out credentials from a secure vault, with their activities logged for audit. This reduces reliance on shared passwords and ensures that all privileged actions are traceable. PAM centralizes oversight of the most powerful accounts, helping organizations reduce insider risk and comply with regulatory requirements around critical system access. Service-to-service authentication patterns address the growing need for systems, applications, and APIs to communicate securely without direct human involvement. Mutual TLS (MTLS) enables two services to authenticate each other using certificates, ensuring trust on both ends of the connection. Token exchange mechanisms, such as OAuth, allow services to request temporary access tokens that define what actions they can perform. For example, a payment processor might use a token to validate its authority to request transaction details from a banking API. These patterns protect machine-to-machine communication, ensuring that automation and integration do not bypass access control. Continuous authorization and session reevaluation models go beyond the traditional one-time login process. They enforce the principle that access is not permanent but must be continually justified. For example, a system may verify posture checks periodically during a session, revoking access if antivirus is disabled or a risky IP address is detected. This ongoing scrutiny ensures that access remains valid only while conditions remain safe. By reassessing risk throughout the session, continuous authorization protects against scenarios where an endpoint becomes compromised after initial authentication, closing gaps that one-time checks cannot address. Access orchestration introduces automation into the process of requesting and granting access. Instead of relying on manual approvals and ad hoc processes, orchestration tools streamline workflows, route requests to appropriate approvers, and enforce policy automatically. For example, an employee requesting access to a financial system might trigger a workflow requiring manager approval and a check against compliance rules before granting temporary rights. Automation speeds up access delivery while maintaining accountability, ensuring that decisions are both consistent and aligned with policy. It prevents both excessive delays and the informal workarounds that often accompany manual access approvals. Visibility into access events and entitlement inventories is crucial for governance. Entitlement inventories document who has access to what resources, providing a comprehensive view of privileges across the organization. Coupled with event monitoring, administrators can detect anomalies such as excessive privileges or unusual access attempts. For instance, if a user suddenly gains access to multiple high-value systems, alerts can trigger further review. Without visibility, organizations risk privilege creep, where users accumulate unnecessary rights over time. Maintaining up-to-date inventories and monitoring usage ensures access remains aligned with actual job requirements and compliance standards. Risk scoring enhances adaptive access controls by quantifying the threat level of specific events or conditions. Factors such as unusual geolocation, failed login attempts, or device vulnerabilities contribute to an overall risk score. High-risk scores may trigger additional authentication or outright denial, while low-risk scores allow streamlined access. For example, a login attempt from a known corporate laptop during business hours may score low and proceed seamlessly, while one from an unknown device at midnight scores high and requires extra verification. Risk scoring ensures that responses are data-driven, proportionate, and aligned with security priorities. Advanced access solutions ultimately reinforce the principle of least privilege by delivering precise, auditable, and adaptable access models. By incorporating context, risk, and automation, these solutions ensure users and systems gain only the access they truly need, for only as long as they need it. This reduces exposure, limits opportunities for misuse, and strengthens compliance posture. For example, combining SSO, ABAC, and JIT access provides both usability and strong controls. These methods reflect the ongoing evolution of security, where static, one-size-fits-all access is replaced with flexible, intelligent, and accountable models fit for modern organizations. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Centralized Policy Decision Points, PDP, and Policy Enforcement Points, PEP, form the architectural foundation of advanced access control systems. The PDP evaluates requests against organizational policies, determining whether access should be granted, denied, or adjusted. The PEP, placed at the resource or gateway, enforces the PDP's decision in real time. For example, when a user requests access to a cloud application, the PEP intercepts the request and consults the PDP, which uses risk, attributes, and identity to make the decision. This separation of decision and enforcement creates consistency and scalability, ensuring that policies are applied uniformly across diverse systems. Identity providers, IDPs, and policy engines play crucial roles within these access flows. An identity provider authenticates users and issues tokens or assertions proving their identity, while the policy engine interprets context to decide what that identity may do. For example, a worker logging in through the IDP might present a SAML or OIDC token to the policy engine, which then evaluates group membership, device posture, and time of access. This modular approach allows organizations to swap or upgrade components, such as integrating a stronger IDP or a smarter policy engine, without disrupting the entire access ecosystem. Session management and privileged session monitoring are critical safeguards once access is granted. Session management ensures that sessions have clear lifespans, enforce timeouts, and require periodic reauthentication. Privileged session monitoring takes this further by recording or supervising administrator activities in real time. For example, when a database administrator connects remotely, their session may be monitored, logged, and even controlled if unusual commands are issued. This oversight reduces the risks of insider misuse, enforces accountability, and provides forensic evidence after incidents. Together, these practices ensure that sessions remain within the boundaries of acceptable and authorized use. Credential brokering and vaulting provide secure handling of service accounts and secrets, which are often targeted by attackers. Credential vaults store privileged passwords, API keys, or certificates in encrypted repositories, releasing them only under strict controls. Credential brokers eliminate the need for direct knowledge of secrets by dynamically issuing temporary credentials. For example, instead of hard-coding a database password in an application, the app requests a token from a broker each time it connects. These approaches reduce the risks of credential sprawl, ensure rotation, and prevent unauthorized exposure, addressing one of the most common attack vectors in modern breaches. Hybrid models combining role-based access control, RBAC, and attribute-based access control, ABAC, offer scalable governance. RBAC provides simplicity by assigning rights based on predefined roles, while ABAC delivers flexibility through contextual attributes. By blending them, organizations achieve balance. Broad role categories handle baseline permissions, and ABAC fine-tunes access using conditions. For instance, all engineers might be granted access to a development environment under RBAC, but ABAC could restrict deployments to those on-site during business hours. This layered model scales across large enterprises, while retaining the precision necessary for sensitive environments. Automated entitlement reviews and certification workflows strengthen governance by ensuring access rights remain appropriate over time. These reviews present managers with lists of entitlements for their team members, requiring them to certify or revoke rights. Automation streamlines the process, reducing manual overhead and ensuring reviews happen regularly. For example, a quarterly certification workflow may alert a supervisor that a contractor still has access to critical systems even after their engagement ended. Automated reviews close this gap by revoking unnecessary rights quickly, helping prevent privilege creep and supporting compliance with regulations that mandate periodic access validation. Anomaly detection and access patterns adds intelligence by identifying behaviors that deviate from established norms. Machine learning models or rule-based systems can flag logins from unusual geographies, attempts to access resources outside of typical job duties, or excessive use of privileged accounts. Automated revocation triggers can then suspend sessions or disable accounts until further investigation. For example, if a user who typically accesses HR data suddenly requests large volumes of engineering documents, the system may automatically restrict their access. This proactive approach ensures that unusual access activity is caught and contained before it escalates into a breach. API security gateways extend access control into the programmatic realm, where applications and services interact. These gateways authenticate API calls, enforce rate limits, and apply fine-grained policies to prevent abuse. For example, an API gateway may validate tokens before allowing a mobile app to access sensitive financial data or throttle requests to prevent denial-of-service attacks. Without gateways, APIs become exposed entry points vulnerable to exploitation. By enforcing strong access policies and integrating with identity systems, gateways ensure that automated communication between services maintains the same rigor as human-driven access. Audit trails and immutable logging are indispensable for compliance, forensics, and accountability. Immutable logs cannot be altered, ensuring that records of access attempts and decisions remain trustworthy. They provide investigators with reliable timelines of events and help auditors verify that policies were enforced consistently. For instance, if regulators inquire about unauthorized access to healthcare data, immutable logs can demonstrate whether controls worked as intended or where they failed. By ensuring integrity of logs, organizations build trust with both external regulators and internal stakeholders, reinforcing the reliability of their security operations. Lifecycle automation addresses the challenge of onboarding and offboarding users efficiently and securely. Automated workflows ensure that access rights are provisioned quickly when employees join and revoked immediately upon departure. Role and attribute-based policies govern these processes, granting only the rights necessary for each stage of employment. For example, a new hire in marketing automatically receives access to email, collaboration tools, and campaign systems, but not to financial databases. When they leave, all entitlements are revoked in one sweep. Lifecycle automation minimizes administrative delays while reducing the risk of lingering accounts becoming attack vectors. Scalability and latency considerations must be addressed when deploying centralized decision services. Since PDPs may process thousands of access requests per second, they must respond quickly to avoid bottlenecks. High latency can disrupt user experience and undermine adoption of security controls. To address this, organizations may distribute PDPs globally, cache decisions where possible, and design architectures that scale horizontally. For example, a global enterprise may deploy PDP instances in multiple regions to minimize response times for remote users. Balancing scalability with security ensures that advanced access solutions remain both effective and efficient. Advanced access solutions ultimately combine identity, context, and automation to reduce risk while improving operational control. By unifying identity providers, policy engines, monitoring, and lifecycle management, organizations achieve fine-grained, adaptive control over access. This approach enables least privilege access at scale, with transparency and auditability built into every decision. For example, an employee's access to cloud resources may be governed by their role, device posture, risk score, and approval workflow, all evaluated automatically. These solutions embody the future of access: dynamic, intelligent, and seamless. They transform security from a barrier into an enabler of safe, efficient operations. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.